I said something to Janice about letting us grow to 8 inches, you know? And she looked at me and said, no, we're not.
You could just get Jeff to write you up a letter that says anything 8 inches and below is legal.
Yeah, yeah.
I have others, but that's kind of keep that for that. So.
I'll take his job a lot easier.
Yeah, they.
Yeah, when did we decide how tall?
I thought about putting it in a federal pollinator reserve. Then Jeff can't touch it.
Go to the ASCS office and get it, get a CRP. You could just go one step farther and you could put it on sunflowers. You can't put sunflowers.
Yeah.
I planted sunflowers once. It took me 10 years to get rid of all of them.
Really?
They went to seed.
Yeah.
I've already done that for my own, so.
That and bachelor's buttons. Man, I like to never talk about that
Crack them open.
in my garden.
That's pretty much the rule though. If you don't want it, it won't
No, it's
go.
on.
Yeah.
That's about
Basically
it.
stop it, but it's kind of, yeah. He's young, he's not very good, he's in his 30s.
Yeah, that's my biggest fear. They don't.
Difference is too many, virus.
Like to
Yeah.
call this meeting in order for the thing on the day. Pledge allegiance.
Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome guests today, and thank you for coming and being with us. And approve agenda.
Motion.
Second.
And
You might be on.
Rob,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes.
Kyle, she might be on the phone.
Jennifer, are you on the phone?
No.
Public hearing. Public hearing on the matter of the adoption of plans and specifications, form a contract and estimate of costs for the construction of certain public improvements described in general as sidewalk improvement phase 2, north and west side sidewalk improvement project.
Open the public hearing on the adoption plans.
Second.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay, Jake,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes.
Josh,
Are there any comments from the public? This evening?
Hey, I know, this is Jennifer. Sorry, I'm kind of interrupting. I didn't know if you guys on the phone. Jennifer's on.
Somebody on,
Jennifer.
what?
Jennifer.
Sorry, did you hear me? I didn't know if you heard me on the phone or not.
We hear you now.
Okay.
Thank you, Jennifer.
we've not had anything at, City Hall.
Okay, all right. Need a motion to approve?
Motion to close public hearing. Second.
Earl,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Approve resolution adopting plan specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost.
Motion to approve the resolution adopting plan specification, forms of contract, and estimate of cost.
Second.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Waive second and third reading of resolution adopting plan specification, form of contract, and estimated cost.
So move. Second.
Josh,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Jake. Earl,
Yes. Police chief.
Hey, don't do it, the police department, into next week, I think I told you last meeting, we're gonna send all the equipment from the cars down to Tennessee, so next week, we're gonna start tearing into Jacob's car, he's gonna be the first one to go. And I talked to Adam today a little bit about how to sell it on Purple Wave and things. I think he's gonna help me with that process. So here, probably by next meeting, we'll have that uploaded on there and be getting that thing sold and all the equipment shipped off.
Anything else?
That's it.
Saw the article in the paper, you had another group of kids that went through your,
Oh, yeah, Coffee Kids and Kindness, yeah. Yeah, it's going really, really good.
that is just awesome. Yeah.
It's going really good. All the kids are getting pretty excited for it. Getting a lot more nominations each time we have it. So that's a positive. The bad thing is we only got probably a couple left before the end of the school year, but I try to get it, going again. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's worked out really, really well.
Where'd that idea emanate from, Zach?
I stole it from somebody
Okay.
else.
Yeah.
So
That's where the best ideas come from. But, yeah, no, I saw another department was doing something kind of similar. So, yeah, I stole it off of
Yeah.
them, but
But Zach improved it.
I think I did. I do. I know we have better prices. I do know that.
Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
All right. Jeff's not with us. Any reports from, okay. Mutual Center report?
I have a couple updates from the last meeting from the pictures that Dawn, handed out. There was a light fixture in the upstairs that Taylor said that has been covered. I want to give an update about the bathroom, the paint, downstairs. They have not repainted it, and they talked about putting like a plastic beadboard over it so that, cause like the paint keeps chipping off of it and kids are peeling it. And so they didn't want to keep having to paint it, and then it just keeps getting peeled off. They did have Ray Fleming, I believe, look into what it would cost to put some of that different, coating on it, and it was gonna be $8,000. So they just haven't done that yet. I did ask Taylor that if they do have the paint, that they go ahead and cover it up and just take pictures of how long it lasts or whatever. So there's some documentation that it was corrected and then how long it lasted before it was, ripped up again or it didn't stay. Carpet is taped down in the elevator. The bathroom, there's still the hole in the wall. So I did ask that we get taken care of. We had a few conversations and I did let her know that this would be the last operational update that I will be giving to city council. I am only required to give the financial report, and I don't think it is my position to be giving operational things, but it's not I'm not there. I can't answer your questions. I don't run the Bayshore Center, and that's very hard for me, and I don't want to give you false information. So I told her, going forward, I would not be giving updates. She could give an update once a month, but I would be giving the financial updates. So, whether she chooses to do that or not, that's on her. That's it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Main Street report.
Saturday is the Latino Festival, 2-5 on the west side of the square. We're hearing hopefully good things. I mean, we're hearing a lot that there's even neighboring counties that are wanting to come in and experience it. Other than that, we're in full process on Hair Nation Days also, getting it up the next month.
We have some vendors coming in,
Yeah, there's some food, just
umbrella vendors,
what's that?
umbrella vendors.
Yeah, there'll be pinatas if you want to take a swing at them.
Okay. All right, thank you. John's not here from DCDC. Anyone else? Okay. Consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Jake,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes.
Don.
Yes. New business. Approve mayor to sign proclamation designating May as National Historic Preservation Month.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Don,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes,
Jake,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
thank you. Approve closing of south lane of the 300 block of East Locust for concrete truck while redoing parking lot.
That's at the Michelin office build. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The old USDA building.
Yeah.
And the pump truck, we tore out half of it and replaced half of the parking lot already. And We don't want to put that pump truck on the new, put concrete, and then the alley's got electric lines in the way. We discussed possibly going over the top of the building, which he said he might be able to make that work, so. Worst case scenario, according to the contractor, is putting a pump truck in the south lane of Locust Street. And then you'll have a concrete truck dumping into that, which might interfere with the north lane traffic for a short period of time while they're dumping.
Where's the truck going to park, Gary? On the north?
It would be on the north side of the building on Locust Street,
Yes.
pretty much right where the entrance is now.
And what day and what time? Do you have any idea?
Well, we were hoping to do it tomorrow, but that's obviously not gonna happen, so as soon as weather permits for him to get in there. That's the way it's looking right now. I don't see it before next week. So.
Do you need barricades from us or you'll take care of all that?
We can have, person
Cones
directing traffic.
Okay, all right, okay.
I think that'll work.
It would sure be better just to let him block the whole thing. At least while he's got the trucks in there, instead of letting any of it getting a worker hurt, people trying to bus by go to school.
Right.
There's plenty of ways to go around one block to go.
Yeah.
And that's be my, the half he's got down there real good, I'd say if he's got to come out into the street a little bit when they do the curb cut to finish that up. So yeah, it'd definitely be safer than to block the whole thing.
So should I have that contractor just touch base with the city before?
That'd be fine.
We don't really know what day that is.
I think that would be a good idea.
If it's a school day, I would encourage it without until after 8:30.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be,
None of the bus traffic and everything on that road. That would be
yeah,
a
totally.
little bit difficult.
I'll make a motion that we approve that item. And Gary can work with Rusty and get it set up in an efficient and safe manner so you get that project completed.
Second.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes. Approve closing the 200 block of North Madison for 8 hours of tree removal.
That's right across from the clinic, from the old veterinary clinic. They're gonna take 3 trees out in that yard there and they'll be out the road. And it'll take up the lane for most of the day.
Okay.
Just rock trees that need to be taken down.
No move. Oh, second.
okay, Jennifer,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes. Approve closing the 500 block of North Madison for 1 week to allow Wetstein Concrete to replace storm drains.
Yeah, I've got to hear back from the hospital. I met with Darren from the maintenance up there just to we want to make sure we coordinate with them as far as the ambulance, because it's going to be right there on the east side on Madison. I want to make sure they have full access with the ambulance, and it's basically right in front of Mr. Ball's house is those 2 storm drains right there. So we need to close the whole thing, but Darren didn't see a problem with it. They would be able to exit from the second-hand garage, backup ambulance garage could still get out. The north sides could still get out that way. So same thing, we're waiting on a date, when we don't really have a date other than Wetstein said they would have it done before the end of May. But he thought it would take 3 to 5 days to do that project. So waiting on the hospital to give us clarification. We'll provide the barricades, block it off from the property.
Sometimes they have that nuke extra or whatever.
Yes, so
Trailer that comes in once in a while.
I knew we discussed that as well. He said it always comes in on a Friday. They usually move in on a Friday and they're gone on a Monday. And so we talked about Derek about that. So we really need to target a Monday through Thursday on the job. If we need be, they can still.
They're working with the hospital, so they should be
Yeah.
fine.
And I discussed with Derek, it's right beside the helipad. So he's definitely got to be clean with his job site every night, and not leave debris that can fly around of a night.
Motion to approve. Second.
Jake,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes. Approve closing North Lane by 1201 East Franklin to allow Farney Concrete to pour new concrete.
Kind of the same thing as the other, that's second house from the country club there, Mr. Hammer's house. They just are pouring a concrete driveway and be in the road and unload the cement trucks. So this, it won't be very long. It's not a very big driveway. They haven't set a date, obviously waiting on weather as well with that. But they would need one lane closed, and we said we definitely have to be, if they need our signs, that's fine. We want to put them far enough back to, you got some semi-traffic coming down through there, hot, heavy coming into town, so we want to make sure we put plenty of, probably recommend going clear out to McGowan Farm with their construction sign.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Todd.
Yes.
Discuss and decide on awarding cemetery road project.
In your packets, you should have a bid tabulation from French Reniker. His estimate was 53,000. We were going to concrete, if you recall, part of one of the gravel roads in the cemetery that keeps washing out, and the next year do the other. He estimated it would come in around 53,000. We only got one bid in from Wetstein at 65,000. 65,000 is over budget. So, I met with Matt Walker to ask him how much of the road could we do to save the $60,000 budget, because we have design and staking and everything that we would need to deduct off there. So, by his estimate, we would need to shorten the bid pack, what went out for bid, to 135 feet so that we stay within that budget and don't go over for this year. So I told him I would talk to council and ask, do you want to stay within the budget and shorten the project and try to get more of it done next year, or are you gonna allow him to go over budget?
I would say no, but no. If you have to, I'm sorry. We did adjustment, bidding, so it's someone else in the rest. I agree.
You know, whatever,
It's not that critical, where it's, I mean, we want to get it
Right.
done, but it's
right,
nothing that's critical. If we can postpone it in summer, just burn it.
right. Yeah, and the other thing that we talked about was, you know, maybe trying to do the majority of it after July even. The only concern was, do we want to leave, you know, the 60,000 on the table if we don't get it done by the June 15th, the last time we'll pay claims. But I was kind of shocked it came in that much higher. I mean, you know, a lot of our bids we know are coming in higher than normal, but usually the engineer's pretty accurate with how much he thinks it'll
It doesn't
cost.
surprise me at all. The player contract bids are coming in nowadays. It's
I know.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, so I told him I would talk it over with you guys and let him know what to do. I mean, it's not gonna hurt my feelings if you leave the budget money out there, you know, to cover some other stuff, but it's also, as long as we stay within that 60, then we're fine either way. Or like you said, you can table it, go back out to bid, you could wait till next year, you can do whatever you can do. 2 years, whatever.
I would like to table it because I think that
Are you gonna make a motion for that?
The motion to table this item and go back out to bid for the cemetery road project.
I'll second.
Earl,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Jake.
Yes.
Discuss and decide on Lake Fisher wildflower contract.
I think last month you guys approved me looking over the contract, so I took the contract and tweaked a little bit. My understanding is whoever we're going to rent to, and I don't know for sure, isn't gonna pay rent, but the trade-off is they're taking a piece of ground that's not currently being farmed and are gonna no-till soybean it for 2 years. And there are very specific restrictions on what they have to do with that are incorporated into the new lease. So I think we're in pretty good shape on the draft lease. I don't know. Anything else? Jim?
I'm sorry, I was trying to, I have a question on this or something we need to follow up on. Right, so there is a section of it that we do have a lease with Kurt Hopkins, so I want to pull that lease to see when that expires.
Oh.
I know it was annual.
It's just, he has to come in June every year.
June, okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't still going
It's not automatically.
before we sign up with somebody else.
Is it a farm lease, though?
What's he doing?
Yeah,
He would mow hay off of it. He rented the land to mow hay off.
That is an automatically renewing lease then. Unless we've given the notice by September 1st for March 1.
yeah, I was just talking to Rusty about that. I think we need to pull that before we put an ad in saying that we're going out for bid to do this, to make sure that his lease isn't still in effect.
So we need to table this till we find that out.
I think,
Almost.
Yeah.
Not much. Yeah, but table this.
Don,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Earl.
Yes. Set a public hearing on May the 16th, 2024 at 7 p.m. to amend budget for year 2024.
So moved.
Second.
I was gonna say, I've put it in the newspaper for the citizens to see how much we need to amend it. Full disclosure, we might be amending it for no reason because we didn't spend some of the other money that we planned on it. But I would rather have it in there and not need it than miss the deadline and go over. Jennifer,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Earl.
Yes. Set a public hearing on May 16th, 2024 at 7 p.m. to approve a resolution to rezone parcel 01001511 from industrial to residential.
Where is that?
Go for me.
Okay,
Oh.
so,
Rusty.
whatever. Anybody want to do the intro? I can do it. So the property that is just to the, I guess it's the south of the fire station and east of Cecil's, little plant or seeds, Joe and Jennifer Wright applied for, to rezone that parcel from industrial to residential so that they could build a shop and a house on that property. That property is currently zoned as industrial. It was published and the Planning and Zoning Commission gave permission or recommended to the council to approve the resolution. So that requires a couple of things. We have to approve a resolution if you want to do that, and then we have to go through and change the zoning ordinance. The concern that I raised with administration was this area is mostly considered industrial, and there is a multi-housing unit to the southwest and one house to the southeast.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that we fit into the category of spot zoning. But in the event that someone were to consider it spot zoning, there are some considerations that you need to take into account and explain reasonings if you are going to move forward with this rezoning. So number one, identifying that it's within the power of the city. That's clearly something that we've got. There's a reasonable basis to make a distinction between this land and the surrounding property. And the rezoning is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Those are requirements that the courts have established for you to vary from the comprehensive plan and adopt a new plan. The case law relates to Field of Dreams. And they took ag land and converted it into a commercial use. And in that case, they had a lot of resistance from some of the surrounding farmers. I'm not aware of there being any public comment that was adverse to this at the planning and zoning, but clearly we'll go through the public hearing phase for this to hear any complaints. They had to have a certain number of signatures. I can't remember that.
Yeah, it's 50% of the acreage and he's got well over that.
He's got all but
I
tiny
think like two
amount.
people
Yeah.
that he has.
all but 2 people signed off on it from the surrounding
How much,
area.
how much ground are you talking about? You know, offhand?
Well, his lot is needed like half or nine.
He owned a lot there now,
Yeah.
and he's trying to get something adjacent to it rezoned.
No, he's trying to get that lot rezoned, but the
Oh.
way that, the ordinance is say if your lot is 2 acres, you need to get 50% of the acreage. So if the next person next to you only owns a quarter of an acre and you need them, somebody else to equal like the 4.5 acres.
It says that parcel's 1.93 gross and net acres.
And that parcel is in my neighborhood and it's trees and brush right now. And
It's the old railroad bed. It's completely
old-
grown up.
sits next to the old railroad bed that goes from the depot west. And so in behind where Red Klaus used to have his warehouse is where it is. And
I got it.
I think personal opinion, residential would be a whole lot better than it being trees hiding the deer that eat my garden.
Probably personal benefit is not where we want to go with.
So, just a personal thought there.
So I'm not saying that you shouldn't approve the resolution. I just wanted to make sure that we all understand it's a significant thing to go from industrial to residential. And if someone were to try and claim that some sort of spot zoning, you really need to give some thought to why you're doing that and articulate some of those reasons when you adopt a new ordinance.
To me, would this be like opening Pandora's box? You're doing plot zoning, you have a residential surrounded by industrial, and then down the road, Joe wants to go from residential to industrial or industrial to residential. And then if we say yes on this, then we say no with somebody else. Would they be able to cite this example?
Because
I'm
I think each one's gonna
actually
be-
dealing with
each one of
this.
those situations would be individual.
Yeah.
I'm satisfied this was industrial because the railroad track used to go down beside it. And so on each side of the railroad track, you had industrial. Well, that track's no longer there.
So are there
And
houses? My question is
There's
are there
houses
houses
adjacent
right
to it, yes.
next to it?
Yes, there's houses adjacent to that property.
So this isn't,
The
this isn't,
backyards butt up right to it.
Maybe,
this isn't residential surrounded by industrial area.
Okay,
No.
correct. This is basically the other way around. Industrial, one little industrial area surrounded.
So
by-
this is the industrial area and a residential area.
Pretty much, yes, in a
So-
nutshell.
I think
Okay.
we're getting sidetracked. I don't mean to speak out of turn, but we're discussing things that should be discussed in the public hearing. This is a motion. for
It's not the one I
set a
clicked on.
public hearing.
Sorry, I did it when I gave it to
Good
you.
point. So.
Yeah, good conversation.
Yeah, good conversation.
It'd be better when we get to the public hearing. We've all had a chance to research it a little bit. So I make a motion that we approve that item.
The resolution.
Set the public hearing.
No, just set the public.
I mean, we're just setting a public hearing, but if we're gonna not go forward, then you don't need to have a public hearing.
So this property. The fire station clear. Cecil's business.
So it is a business right next to it.
There's multi-family housing down here.
Oh, that's here.
That's what I'm saying, is there's plenty of houses around it.
Concrete warehouse.
It's almost the same.
That's Wayne Amherst Marine Storage Building.
Except on the backside. Okay, all right.
Right.
I'll second.
Okay. Earl,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Jake, Jennifer,
Yes.
Set public hearing on May the 16th, 2024 at 7 PM to approve change in ordinance chapter 165, changing from industrial to residential.
go ahead with that one too.
Somebody make that motion. Second.
Don,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes.
Josh, Jennifer,
Yes.
Okay, discuss and decide on changing ordinance 69.19 through 69.2 in regards to parking restrictions.
And this one came about as our result of our conversation at the last meeting. So I gave a draft off-street parking in residential area. Just a draft to see if that addressed the concern that you were thinking about. And if it did, then we will go through the public hearing and adoption of a new ordinance process. If not, we can tweak it. As I was looking at the code, there may be a couple of references in chapter 165 that we just have to incorporate a cross-reference. Because for 3 or 4 different provisions in 165 that refer to parking on residential areas or on commercial areas that adjoin residential areas. And so we need to at least talk to one another between those two. So, but this incorporates the primary idea I thought that we were trying to capture, so.
Anybody else bothered about this? All kinds of vehicles parking on grass in this town other than me.
I agree with you.
I agree with you. I haven't seen the draft, but
Okay, then I'm gonna make a motion that we adopt, that we adopt that motion, item L. Set the public hearing and we'll get into it.
Second.
Do we need to vote on K, which is discuss and decide, we need to vote that we want to change it and then set a public hearing? Or can we just set a public hearing?
I think we just set public hearing.
All right, so Don motion, Josh second.
Yes.
So Jake,
yes.
Don,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Earl,
Discuss purchase of mower for sewer department.
I've given you a couple of, I'm the sewer liaison and they've talked for quite some time about trying to get a new mower down there. And I'm giving you a couple pieces of 2 items of information to look at. And, Jeremy, sent out some information, I think, 2 weeks ago about this subject. And we have 2 different items that we were looking at. One of them is about $4,300 more than the, what I would call the basic one. I talked with Tom and Joe a little bit about it. I don't think I talked with Rusty about it, but the, information about our existing 2 mowers is over on the right. They're 22 years old. We bought them when they were used. And, if we get a new one, we've talked by phone with the dealer The current ones that we have, we cannot get the parts for them, and the nearest dealer is either in Kansas or Omaha. The dealer for the equipment that we would like to purchase is in Grimes. The dealer says that it would take at least 45 days to get it. And we have up to 30 days to pay for it. And the plan is, if you approve it, to set our, delivery date up in such a way that we pay for it after July 1st, so it goes into next year's budget, which as I understand it, the preferred way to do it. The difference in the two machine is about $4,300, and the more expensive one has a cab with some kind of electrical system in it that allows you to do some things that the cheaper one won't let you do, but I'm not sure that we would need that, Rusty. Some of the things that I looked at the videos and some of the things that they have as attachments, I don't know that we'd ever have use for. One of the things that they were kind of pushing was snow removal on sidewalks. And as I understand it, we can't put machines on our new sidewalks. So the brushes that we could use and that machine would not be attractive to us or necessary.
I would not be in favor if they get this mower, I would not be in favor of it ever leaving a sewer plant on.
Okay.
They need all the other attachments and anything when you take it to other places and they go mow sewer right of ways and stuff, they tear them up.
Okay.
And I unfortunately didn't get to have, he didn't give me that information that he gave you. So I don't know anything about the cab, and that stuff.
Well, the cab is only on the more expensive one. So if we get the, what I call the basic one, we would not get a
There
cab.
would be no reason for the cab. My biggest concern on it is the safety factor. Jeremy did run off in the ditch about 10 years ago. He put a mower off in the ditch and fortunately didn't get hurt. So there arises a safety factor for me. We discussed, and he evidently didn't tell you about the other options that we discussed with it down there. One, we originally talked about using the equipment we have. We have a tractor with a sidearm mower that reach out over the bank to keep them in a tractor up on the road. It just doesn't reach down far enough to get to the rock where the riprap is up from the lagoons. I think it reaches 15 or 18 feet and he needed to reach like 28 feet. So that was option one, was to riprap up to where we could use the existing machine and save $40,000 on the mower. Another one was to get a remote control mower. We can get remote control mowers for the same money or less and eliminate having a rider on that mower to ever risk putting them in the lagoon or in the ditch again. So we do have other options, and it's totally up to you guys, whatever you choose to do with it, but I would not be in favor of it leaving. He has another mower, a Ferris zero turn that they can mow the right of way with if need be so this one doesn't get tore up.
So what size cut is this? Is this the 72-inch cut?
I think it's a 60.
I didn't get the information.
So
It's a gas engine as opposed to the one we have now, which I think are diesel.
yeah,
Yeah, they are diesel.
So I only have one.
I'm trying to figure out the cost here. So
It's,
you're telling me a gas mower is $35,000 for a 60-inch cut.
This one obviously has the two wheels on all four corners just to accommodate the slope that they mow on.
So, but you can rip wrap that and you won't have to.
It's definitely an option. We have, like I said, the tractor. And originally with the tractor, it's a matter of to buy a year time because of budget purposes. We wasn't ready for it when this was first brought up. So we suggested, well, we have that available now. So yeah, that's an option.
So I guess what you're saying is you could rip wrap that and you could go out and buy a John Deere diesel mower for $13,000. It's meant to mow on the flat ground and it would be absolutely fine.
Well,
Is that what you're telling me?
we run a tractor and it has a sidearm mower, so it's a brush hog.
Yeah, sure.
Arm would mow that steep slope.
Yeah.
Nobody being on the steep slope. that was the idea, just for the safety factor.
You could get a much cheaper mower if you didn't.
I don't know.
down
The
there.
rest of it.
The steep slopes definitely require special mower. I don't deny them that. That's with the Deweys that they have now. There's the center wheels and the mower stays level while the deck is like this on the slope. It just runs.
So if you rip wrap that and with the mowers that they have now, they're flat mowers, are their flat mowers any good? Or are they need
Well,
replaced
I
too?
did, it depends on how much you want to rip wrap. If we wanted to finish the rock all the way to the edges and not have any grass on those slopes, that's an option.
How
I
big of a
don't, I
deal
don't
would
know
that
the
be?
cost of the rip wrap, but it would be a one-time cost, to do that. And that's my thing. I know that Jeremy has spilled off in the creek before, so it's a safety factor.
Yeah,
It's a huge one. And there again, you can get a remote control mower that nobody rides on. And, and then it'll mow the slopes as well. So we do have options. I'm not saying that's the worst option, but there is other options for it.
like, have you ever used rip wrap before? I mean,
It's just a matter of you buy the biggest, basically buying boulders and you set them, you use our backhoe or our Mini X and you set them stone by stone.
are we talking like thousands of dollars?
It probably would be a one-time cost.
Like, would it be 35,000?
I don't know that.
I would rather.
We'd have to get a linear foot and, just a square footage and a square area to know how much riprap it would take.
That's a good idea.
I think we need to know those numbers,
Yes.
know what that's going to take. And I certainly, look at removing some of the hazard so you don't have to get this far down the bank, and then you can use the equipment that we've got to reach down to the riprap. And then if he needs a new mower to mow the rest of it, that's not so steep,
Right.
then look at a less expensive type mower to do that with.
Anything for those steep slopes, they require they're going to be expensive mowers.
Yeah.
What do we do to keep the grass and weeds and stuff from going up among the riprap rocks?
They spray now.
Okay.
He sprays salt water on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So salt vinegar.
I would like to know the condition of the flat mowers, if they have the flat ground mowers.
Okay.
And if those need replaced, I don't know, but, and the riprap, that would be.
We can do that. We can find that out.
So one other thing that I would add is, my personal opinion is that so we set aside, if you recall, 175,000 for next year's budget for equipment. I would ask the council to look at everything as a picture all at once to decide what's a priority that the city needs. Because I'm afraid that if we start the precedence of if you come in right before budget starts or at the end of the other budget, then it does kind of take away from the other departments who are also asking council to look at their wishes as well. And so, I do kind of have a fear that if we do go ahead and say, yep, let's go ahead and buy this, then what happens next year when some other department comes in in March or April and says, hey, can I do this next year? And then next thing you know, it's December and whatnot. So since we put the 175 in there, I personally have had multiple discussions with Jeremy and the sewer department to find out two things. If we've been doing it with this mower for however long, why is it just now not safe? Like, was it not safe last year and the year before? I do know he's asked for it for a couple of years, but we had other bigger trucks to buy. And then my other question is, is this something we should ask for a bid on, like we do the cemetery, so that our employees aren't part of it? Is it 10,000 a year to mow it? Is it, how much would it be if like Carnegie came in and mowed it as well as our cemetery? It was just another option. But I would ask that council look at everything that all the departments are wanting, so you can figure out kind of what are the higher priority things versus lower, so that we just don't have each department coming in at their own and asking ahead of time and not really giving the other departments.
Someone with like a specialized mower or something.
Cam, he just mows our cemetery. Cam, and he
Yeah,
does
but
our.
when you have to have like a unique mower to mow
I don't
this
know.
thing, it kind of sounds like.
Yeah, and that's the thing is we've been doing it with what we have. So the question is, like he said, how much would it cost to rip wrap to the point where we could use the tractor. And then my other question that I have is, how do we mow the banks at like Lake Fisher and stuff? Is there a certain, and I don't even know if the banks are the same steep
Right.
level or anything as far as the slope, but
Sure.
what do we use to mow that as well?
I think if you rip wrapped it, you'd also save the man hours involved with mowing it at the same time too.
Yeah, it'd be a spray once a year possibly versus sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's the biggest issue, just a safety.
Yeah.
So we don't want anybody in the lagoon. We don't want anybody falling off in the creek. I've had one of the two happen in the past, so. Yeah. Big factor.
That'd be no fun.
But I suggest we table that for more information.
Can we get a bid from, how do we go about getting bids from the local landscapers to do that possibly?
We put an ad in the paper.
Okay.
Mhm.
Can we get a motion to do that, or can you just do it?
Oh, we can put an ad in.
Okay.
I highly doubt it's gonna be over the threshold of,
And then he can look into what it would cost for rip wrap, and then we can have
We
more.
do that.
and to
more
get a
pieces
quote,
of
we can get a
puzzle.
quote from them and then
Yeah,
come back to the
We had a
table.
quote on earlier, late last year, we had a quote on the lake. We talked about rip wrapping along the shoreline, so we have to go on some of that and see what it can cost linear foot, basically.
Do we have any special mowers out at the lake, or they just big John Deere?
No, Robbie has I believe we bought him I think it's a 96 inch mower out there that he mows the golf course with. And,
Isn't that like a bad boy or something?
yeah, it's a zero turn, it has a zero turn, it's a stand-up zero turn. Yeah, and he does mow, that's one to try possibly, because he mows the Buchler Center right along the street. That's a pretty steep slope. He does that with a zero turn and is successful, but you don't have the fear factor. If you go sliding, you're just going to a parking lot, not until the. I call that the pucker factor.
You might go get a hepatitis.
Most of the slopes to the immediate west of the Musler Center up near the new rock wall.
Robbie-
Put it.
Robbie does
What's
with
it-
it.
with
With the
that-
zero turn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
zero.
yeah, you know, that's a pretty steep one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do it, but then.
Yeah.
So you said 10 years ago he thought, did he take a swim then?
He went in the creek. I'm not,
Oh,
it was dried up, but yeah, he, I don't know if the bank gave away. I don't remember. I was outside working lines then, but.
Okay. Discussing adding commissioners to the Mutual Community Center Board.
Jen mentioned that at the last meeting, and I talked to Ron Bride today to see if the supervisors would be agreeable to discussing adding members, and he said they would not be opposed to that at all, but they want to expand it to 7. One of the people on the commission down there, and it was not Jen, is kind of opposed to expanding it. And if you know how that place operated, you know why that person has that position. I'm in favor of us adding a new person and the supervisors adding a new person, but that's just me personally.
So I also talked to Ron Bragg today, and I told him that if you guys gave us the okay, that we would have Gayla get in touch with the county to talk about the existing 2080, and if there was anything that we would like to see change in it, we would bring it up at the same time. We also discussed him and I having 5 members, not 7. But the other one of the issues is with a 3-person board, you can't ever have a conversation or you're automatically in a quorum. So that was something I brought up to Ron was, you know, if we have Jennifer asking to go get information that we have questions on or something, if she would have to go to Taylor, not to another board member, or else it's an automatic quorum. And so he suggested that they would be in favor of 5 as well, but yes, not 7. So with your blessing.
That makes sense. I'll make a motion that we
Have Gayla look into it.
add Gayla look into it. Take action when we need to.
I'll second that.
Good.
For you, Don. I was leaving it for you.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
Okay, I want to back up into here and get a report from our fire chief now that he's here?
Fire department, nothing really going on. All 4 storm sirens worked Tuesday night. Forrest has worked first time in 4 years. Not sure about Pulaski and Drakesville. They had to go and set them off manually, so they still have an issue. But all 4 of ours worked. Talked to people that live within probably 5 or 6 miles of city limits, said they could hear all 4. Our next concentration, I'll start having those discussions with the industrial park people. So we can get something out there. They've been asking for a long time, so we'll work with that. That's all I got on the fire side. Code enforcement, we're gonna start handing out mowing tickets May 1. I was trying to let people have a chance to mow. And now that this is rain going, I'll probably just let them have the weekend to mow and see what Monday looks like. Because the ones that were already tall are just taller, and the ones that were mowed are tall. So everybody needs a chance to.
All right.
That have some common sense there.
I have a general question about our storm, warning. The one out on Arkansas Avenue worked really well. What triggers those, Jeff? Do you get a call from someplace, National Weather Service, or
No,
how does that exactly work?
that'd be a question for the sheriff's department.
Okay, all right.
But
Well,
what I can tell you, it's national weather, they've got some protocol that they use. It comes into dispatch. Dispatch can set them off. But I also have a master box at the fire station. So if I see something or I hear something from my guys, storm spotters, I can set them off from my side.
So they're manually activated?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dispatch triggers them.
I didn't know if National Weather could hit a button based on the forecast and activate them for us,
No.
but they just called somebody.
No, they're not, they get the same weather reports that I get down to the fire station. When I go down and I start the storm spotters, I pull TV8 up on the TV, and I've got 2 computers running satellite radar imagery. So we're all seeing the same things, but they're getting a teletype from the National Weather Service. So they're getting a hard copy, so they know when to set off the storm siren.
Well, I mean, put you on the spot. What do Forrest and Troy and Drakesville do? Do
They're all triggered by dispatch.
Okay.
And for some reason,
They didn't go.
Raycom was
I
here a
looked at
couple weeks ago, and they worked on their dispatch.
Had to manually-
Their channels had drifted a little bit, so they put a new chip in, and Forrest put new batteries in their unit, get their battery back up. Drakesville did the same. They thought they had them all running. Like I said, I don't know what happened, what's going down in Pulaski right now. But I do know that somebody did go into Drakesville, opened up the box, hit it manually, and they just shut it off manually.
So ours went off for a while, and then it seemed like it went off before anything was even happening, a good while before. And then, when stuff started happening, after the event, I looked at social media, and Wally Fowler had a wonderful video right by the fire station of what looked like a twister coming down that road. And I was wondering in my head, he had 2 videos of it. If you haven't seen it, like, I was wondering in my head, where was the siren going off at that
There's
point?
a lot of people do not know that there's several tones in that box. There's a tone for a watch or a warning. There's a tone for an actual tornado. Then there's a tone for if we're under attack, ballistic attack. There's several tones, and a lot of people don't know what those are for. But, the one that went off the other night were tornado warning and watch warning.
Warnings and watches. So when that thing was rolling down the street, nothing was going on. I was like, and he's got a video of it coming down the street. I'm thinking in my head, watching this video, I sure wouldn't be videotaping that. I mean, it was close enough that you could see stuff. So, yes. So if you haven't seen it, it's pretty impressive. So,
And reference the sirens, I'm not sure everybody knows this, but the fire department basically depleted their budget, like, to fix the sirens recently.
Yes.
Is there something we can do? Because evidently our cohorts on the sheriff's side are refusing to help pay. Is there anything we can do as somebody in the building?
I just suggested that we bring it up at the next public safety meeting and ask them to.
There's supposed to be funds there for that purpose, are they not?
Yeah, I would think either between public safety or E911, one of them would help
Well,
pay for it.
I checked with E911
Yeah.
and E911 is for communications. And so, she checked with
Sirens aren't.
the state person on E911 and they said, doesn't qualify because it's not direct communication. It's a warning, but it's not communications. Is the way they call that.
You can have a voice over it.
Yeah,
They're all set up for voice.
yeah.
So you have to tell them to evacuate.
I,
Say an appeal.
I checked, and that's the response I got.
Well,
Either way, I definitely think we should bring it up to public safety, because if you remember, there's an excess of 100,000 in there.
Exactly. We discussed that and it seems like
We just haven't had a meeting yet.
some, they're keeping it to themselves and we're looking to bill for a lot of stuff that they should be helping.
and I know we talked about this, and I agree with Tommy Joe, this is a discussion, that the members of public safety, both county and city, you're gonna have to put your heads together, and, but right now, Tommy Joe's got a thumb on my budget.
You're not the only one, yeah.
Out there.
Well, no, I
Not the
just,
only one.
yeah, I mean, I appreciate the fire department stepping forward and fixing sirens
Right.
because they work beautifully, at least in town here. My dogs are scared to death. But no, I just want to, commend that things worked.
Yeah.
And, even though we got to manually do some, they got it done. And, so people were warned and things worked well, I thought.
So in Drakesville, you can borrow my megaphone and run up and down the street.
Well, the next month, my house is
She
getting
don't
listed
probably
for
need it.
sale, so I'm not really gonna care,
This is
but
illegal.
I'll just go to Gary's and, if something happens next.
All right, any other? Okay, public comments tonight. Any public comments?
Thought that just came to my mind. We used to always get agendas for the monthly board. We haven't gotten an agenda for some time. Did those? I mean, we're willing to publish those ahead of time. And Gayla, I don't really know for sure what the law is on that.
My guess is they should be doing.
Cliff Martin would always bring these in and we would publish them.
My guess is they should be.
Should be the director getting you that.
It hasn't actually, I don't know. I don't even know for sure how long it's been since we've had an agenda, but, I mean, with all this discussion going on, it would seem to me that those meetings, the agenda should be out there and the public should be able to go to.
Yeah, Jen, the problem is you have a meeting and it hasn't got proper notice. You can be held personally liable. So
Okay, well,
there you go.
you can call her. I can call her too, but she needs to be.
Are you looking at Gayla or me when you say me?
I can send her an email, but if you want to follow up, she can send it to your email.
Yeah, they would call-
She
they would
absolutely
call
can,
them.
yeah. But,
Absolutely.
and I know there've been times when we've gone and we've reported on this, but, not a lot because they come at a really bad time, for us. They still meet on Mondays? No, so that may improve, but, okay, I'll make a note to call Taylor, but I'd appreciate it if you would also mention that.
Okay. Any other public comments?
May I make another one? I'm sorry. I don't want to make your meeting too long, but Jeff mentioned 2 different sounds. How can we get that information to the public so they can identify the 2 different sounds and know which sound means what?
Well, if you hear that third sound, we're in for a whirlwind.
But
Surely there's something
isn't there
on
a
the
form
internet,
that
sample or-
explains what those sounds are?
I'll have to look.
I'm sure
there
you've
is. I
got
can
it.
find them on
You can
YouTube.
find it
Whether we
somewhere.
can describe it verbally or if we can,
Well, the siren you heard the other night is just a long, high, low siren. And the tornado siren is gonna be more of a
Whoop, whoop.
whoop, whoop.
I think it'd be great if there was like some sort of article about that in the newspaper?
I think so.
I think citizens.
That's what I'm
want to
thinking.
know that.
And I don't know if we could,
This is the time of year too.
Yeah.
Surely there's
Are you
something.
thinking of asking for a demonstration?
well, yeah, a demonstration or
A video,
Yeah.
a video.
can we do a video or can we do a sound clip on our Facebook page?
That'd be good.
I didn't know it was the website.
I'm sure there's something out there. What's his name at ADM ought to be able to come up with that.
Mike,
Mike?
Yeah.
Mike?
Okay.
Wait,
I'll find it. Yeah. You might as well.
That would be a good thing to
If
pursue.
only we had
yeah,
work
so
managers
Jeff, if
around
you
here.
can get some more information.
Yeah, I'll get you some
Get that
information.
accomplished.
Okay.
I can just imagine. Hello, I'm Jeff McClure. I'm your friendly police or fire chief.
Yeah.
If you hear this sound, it means we're under missile. Drive south to Missouri.
Don't go west.
There's silos down there.
Okay, all right. Anything else? Anybody else? All right, moving on. City administrator.
The only thing I have is I got some terrible news this week that Cindy Kendall is retiring.
Oh.
So I'm heartbroken.
Yeah.
I replied with no, and then she did say she's keeping her cell phone and her email in case we needed anything, and she'll see how retiring goes. But
Would she
the
like
budget
to-
is changing so much every year that she's not interested in keeping up with it.
I was gonna say, we give her an all expenses paid 3 day.
I know, I was like, do you need a
vacation every year.
raise? What do you need?
We could arrange that pretty easily.
Yeah, but she sent her final bill and we have under $1,000 for the year. So she's like, I think you guys don't need me anymore, but I tried to inform her that, you know, it's still comfort. So that's all I have today.
Okay, Rusty.
Sorry to break your heart.
Just, I mean, real quick on the storms, obviously we skated through them very well. Had the outage there Saturday night. It was a power line down below Troy elevator broke. So the guys had to go off-roading to get down to that one and, use a tractor to get out. But they managed to get it out. I think it was what, 2 to 3 hours, I believe. So not super long enough, but not super long. They did all they could do. So we've been very lucky. We've had, I think, 2 poles break off so far in high winds. So I'm very fortunate that way. Everybody's out mowing as much as we can between rains, trying to get things cleaned up for us and get ready for the projects we got coming. So yeah, we did get visited from IUB and, they gave us a full page of what we need to do to catch up on utility inspections. So they'll be checking in with us on that. We've got all the reports done and moving forward.
For the 2 poles that broke ones and we had slated to replace.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else, Rusty?
That's it.
Tammy?
Right now I'm working on putting matrices together with the different grants that are coming out. Now that all the COVID money is kind of spent and that's gone, a lot of those grants that we've been seeing the last 3 or 4 years are gone. So there's new ones that are coming out, new parameters for different things. So as part of strategic planning and looking forward to when we are doing projects again, I'm working on many different areas, such as housing, streets, recreation, different topics, and collecting the data on what these new grants are, what they entail, and how they're going to work. I'm going to have a webinar next week on one. So I'm just trying to get that information put together so we can be ready. Can't spend on a dime. If we are ready to do something, we have to be prepared. We've learned that kind of the hard way, that these things take time. So I want to make sure we have everything in order for that. And then working with a couple of communities on some housing projects that they're doing, some kind of innovative ideas that we can take a look at. The pre-apprenticeship for the lineman school is rolled out now. So now we are in the process of finding the municipalities and the like the distribution centers like Southern Iowa Electric that can use apprentice to start these programs. So then we can move on to some other trade that we want to tackle next and getting that set up with Indian Hills. So working on those things, still working on solar information, and the data to them, and Kimber got a hold of me. She needed some more information, so I had to go back and get some other stuff from Southern Iowa Electric and from AEP to try to get more data to them so they can do more accurate analysis of what our panels are doing. So we're still working on that project. So just a lot of balls in there with a lot of different projects.
Okay. All right.
That's it.
Any council updates?
So, we have the Chicago trip next month. It never fails. I had a parent reach out to me that, we had a couple fundraising opportunities. And this student participated in those, raised about $500 and, was $300 short. So, I reached out to a couple organizations. One of them was DCDC. He was willing to help. The other organization was unable to help, I guess. But a citizen stepped up and offered to help her child out. So that was nice. And then I talked to Tommy Joe about the pool. I guess sometimes you learn when your children are involved. So my daughter has never had a job as long as she was involved in sports and stuff like that. And besides like working with me, she has up and decided that she would like to become a lifeguard. So it was surprised to me during the summer. So I supported that. And I found out, like, I spoke to Tommy Joe about this. They don't get paid a lot per hour. They don't. And then I found out that they have to pay for their own certifications. And it was pretty strenuous. It was crazy. There were a few that did not pass. So that was $150, which that's fine. I talked to you and you said that they could recoup that for swim lessons or something. But I guess one thing that I was concerned about is they have to go out and buy their own first aid kits. So that's an additional money on top of that. So you have these kids that are going to work at the pool during the summer, and literally their most if not all of their first paycheck is going to go towards certification or the med kits or first aid kits. To me, the city should pay for first aid kits and they should stay at the pool. Also, on top of that, that's a cost to our kids in the community. If a kid can't afford getting certified to be a lifeguard, they can't have that job. They can't apply for that job. So, through speaking with Hallie, Jody is paying for training for her own certification. So that it used to be in Centerville. Now it's moved to Atumwa. They do have an option here, but they have to bring someone in to train them. So Jody's going through the training to certify herself so that she can certify these guards. To me, if she is saving the city money by doing that, she shouldn't have to pay for it either. And I haven't spoken to Jody at all about it. I've spoken, and you said that you were going to try to find out.
Yeah, I did. So I talked to her. I asked her opinion. She gave me both pros and cons as to why she felt the lifeguard needed to pay for the $150.
Yeah, and I agree with that,
Yeah, so she did say that, unfortunately, it's not really a job that a lot of people do year after year after year. So she sees from a taxpayer standpoint that if we paid for it and put out, let's say, $5,000, because we usually have between 25 and 30 lifeguards because of schedules and softball and baseball and everything. She said, as a taxpayer, if they're just gonna do it 1 year and we spent the $150, yeah, she's like, I could see why we wouldn't. Now, she did say that she does have and is buying med kits for them to wear. Each lifeguard has to wear a fanny pack with the med kits and the medical supplies in it. Some of them don't want them because they're not real pretty. And, there's just something off Amazon, you know, that's cheaper or whatnot. So, if someone doesn't want to buy the actual lifeguard one that says, you know, I'm a lifeguard and has the little sign and the symbol, they're more than welcome to use the ones from the city that we are going to have there for people to use. So I did get that resolved. The other thing is that, she is getting certified so that she can teach that, so that we don't have to pay the $150. So going forward, it should be better for us because we won't have to pay somebody else to come in to Davis County to certify them with Red Cross. So if she gets certified to teach that and to perform those certifications for our lifeguards, then they get to pick what they charge as being an instructor. So she would be willing to not charge. Unfortunately, it won't help for this year.
Yeah.
But I did tell her that, I would approve for her to get certified because it's within my authority to do that. But, and that would save us going forward, you know, and if she then decides not to be the lifeguard instructor and the WQI, then the next person coming in, we can always do that.
Could it be set up in a way that if they're employed by our city pool, then it would be free of charge?
Right,
If they're not
once she
employed-
gets.
If they're not employed by our city pool, then she could charge them a fee?
Yes.
Is that how that
Yep,
would work?
yep, so she could do that. So she could, if there was someone else from like Atumwa that wanted to come
Sure.
over and get certified. The other thing is they do have to renew it every couple years. And so should you have a lifeguard that only does it for a year or two, then obviously they're not gonna get it free again if they're not gonna continue to work for us. So I do think we've worked through most of it, and I think that there's enough. I did obviously have to do an amendment with the pool because we had a big pool leak. So I think we can work most of that out with the exception of the certification. Now, next year, we could have money in there for those if need be. But
That's the, go ahead.
the instructor themselves gets to set how much they're gonna charge for that.
I
But
want to know, who sets the salary for the lifeguards?
you guys do.
Well, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You approve it by resolution, which we've done.
I think it's $8.50 an hour.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's pretty low. It's been that way for several years, I would say.
Well, we raised it this year 50. And the head guards,
Will it go to $9 then?
no, we raised it from 8 to 50 and 8 and the concessions as well. Yes, it is over minimum wage. The pool will probably never make money as far as revenue goes. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you could look to either doing a certification or maybe providing the swimsuit or the uniform, however you want to look at it.
I would rather.
Hey, Tommy Joe,
Yeah.
this is Jennifer. So like all three of my girls have been lifeguards, and I know it doesn't pay a lot, and I get it. Where they make their money is those private lessons, and they make quite a bit of money on those private lessons. So it's not, and they get to, I mean, they have to pay a little bit to use the pool when they do it, but it's pretty minimal. So it's not, I guess I don't want to make it seem like they're like so underpaid that it's not worth doing it. Cause those private lessons, I think some of my girls, depending on how many lessons they had in a year, you know, made 3,000 in a summer easy.
Yeah, good point. So we do charge, once they get certified, then they're able to go out and say, you know, I'm open for lessons at whatever day works for them and time, and then they can charge per kid, you know, whatever they want to for their lessons. We charge each lifeguard $50 for use of the pool to help with the utilities and everything. But yeah, that's all they would have to pay. But that is how a lot of them have kind of made up or
What length
offset.
of time for the 50? Is that for the summer?
50 for the whole summer.
Okay.
And then they can work with Jody on when they can schedule their individual lessons. And then obviously they also will offer Red Cross lessons in the group as well.
So that's good to know about the fanny pack.
Yeah.
Because she didn't tell me that, so she can be
Well-
full, like more, or
The Amazon, just plain red.
Yeah.
So I will tell you, and I don't know if she knows that yet, just full disclosure, but that was just what Jody and I had discussed, and Jody said, yeah, I'm gonna order some stuff off Amazon, and
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's not it.
so I don't know if all the lifeguards know that yet.
Gotcha.
But,
Right.
obviously, when the instructor comes over and says, you know, you need to get this med kit, you need to have it on you at all times, et cetera.
So
So,
the potential to make money through private lessons is the incentive to become a lifeguard.
right, and to get Red Cross certified.
And in the past, the manager of the pool has always had those certifications to be able to do those trainings. We've had the prior ones were trained and the ones before them were trained,
Yep.
you know.
So we're just
And
now
so-
catching up.
So it's just catching up and keeping things
Gotcha.
at that point.
Josh, you brought up about the first aid kit. Is there a more advanced first aid kit than AED stationed at that facility?
I don't know if there's an AED or not there.
I haven't been there. We can ask Robbie.
If there isn't.
I'm gonna write that down and ask Robbie. I don't,
Slated to have one.
I was gonna say, yeah,
But do they have a more advanced first aid kit than the fanny pack?
they should have. Everybody has been told that if they need anything specifically, they can come to, and Cintas will fill it all up, but I'm pretty sure they go to the pool if I remember. Yeah, I remember seeing those bills come across the desk.
I'll find out on that, Jeff.
But yeah, find out about the
And maybe something else towards the lifeguards to give them an incentive if they keep returning. You know, a lot of them can start pretty young, and maybe there's a way to come up with an incentive or a payback or a bonus at the end of each season if they continue to come back. Even a $50 bonus that would pay their pool rent, you know, or get a blessing or something.
Oh, well, that's good information though, because I was concerned that we wouldn't get enough just paying $850, but there's more to it than that.
I think they had several applications.
Yeah, I haven't heard how many actually passed and did the certification. Robbie must be on the phone. He says, yes, we have an AED and a big med kit. So,
Good.
yeah.
Right. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Earl,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes. Are you still there? Hello?